Good morning, Theodore from Student Paramedics here. Now today we're going to walk through how to use a tourniquet. So we've got the 4th generation, the soft tourniquet here. We've also got the rapid stop tourniquet up there. They're two sort of different tourniquets in that the method of application differs. The first uses a windlass, requires a bit of fine motor control to apply. The second uses a ratchet system and uses only really gross motor control. It's a bit easier to self-apply. First of all, what is a tourniquet? Well, a tourniquet is a device used to stop arterial bleeds in patients suffering from major trauma. This can be a result of something as simple as a sporting accident, traffic accident, or other physical insults such as shootings and stabbings. Now, decent arterial bleeds, which may result from any of the above incidents, can give you well under a minute before the patient becomes unconscious due to cerebral hypoxia. Therefore, if you're involved in extreme sports, if you work on a construction site, or if you just travel in traffic, as a paramedic, I believe that it's imperative that you know how to use a tourniquet. Okay, so what are the basic principles in tourniquet application? Arterial tourniquets consist of basically one long strap, which has a buckle that you can clip in to form a loop. Through this loop, you place the affected limb and you tension. Now, in a similar fashion, the rapid stop tourniquet has this D-shaped buckle, which you use to make the loop. Now, to store tourniquets in your first aid kit, regardless of whether it's a traditional windlass style operation tourniquet or if it's a ratchet style tourniquet, the first thing to do is to take it out of its packaging, any bindings that are holding it together, and prepare it into a loop size, which is going to be easy to apply it to any limb. If you're super keen, you can have one set to arm limb size and you can have one set to the leg size. So once again, that just consists of getting the buckle together, clipping it on, and tensioning it to the appropriate limb size. If you can't decide what sort of tourniquet to get, just get one of each. This one's going to be much easier to apply to your arms, you're going to see soon. And this one, if you have 2 hands, you can apply it to your leg. At the end of the day, you hope that you're only going to be applying it to someone else and not to yourself, but it pays to be prepared. Okay, so the first step, of course, you've got a preset to that loop size. You're going to have the buckle facing medial, so you're going to have the buckle to the inside of the body if you're self-applying it. And you're going to put it on the limb above the site of bleeding. And you're going to pull that strap to tension it. A common teaching is high and tight, so you're going to have it as high as possible, as proximal to the body as possible. Now, while it always needs to be as tight as possible, it doesn't always need to be as high as possible. So under the guidelines of care under fire in the US, high and tight is what they dictate, so that you get it on and you definitely get it above where the bleeding is coming from, because you don't have really time to investigate and maybe remove the clothing on that limb and see where the bleeding is coming from. Now, if you're operating in a civilian context or state ambulance service, which is not involved in tactical response, and most especially if you're practicing in remote environments where retrieval time may be prolonged, you don't want to put too high, because then you're going to be causing ischemic damage to tissue all the way from the site of bleeding, which may be down distally, all the way up to the site of the tourniquet application. So while there are numerous suggestions out there recommending different distances from the site of bleeding and tourniquet application, I'd encourage you to do your own research. Definitely consult your own clinical practice guidelines for where you work and come up with that decision. All right, so back to tourniquet application. You've got the loop set up, you've put it onto the limb, you've tensioned it with the strap as much as you can. So now you're going to tension it with a windlass, and you're going to keep tensioning it until the bleeding stops. Put it in the retention clip there, and you slide that plastic clip over the top like that. To ensure that you have occluded arterial blood flow, if you're practicing on yourself, you can take your radial pulse. If there's a distal injury here, you can always take the brachial pulse on the patient. But of course, you want to see the arterial bleeding stop. And you should have that site wrapped up quite firmly with pressure already. Potentially, if you have an Israeli bandage or Ola's bandage or some sort of pressure applicator bandage, that would be very appropriate to apply to the site of injury. After you've applied the tourniquet, make sure that you write down the time of application in the provided space on the strap. Next, wrap the excess strap around the arm and tuck it into itself. Make it nice and neat. To remove the soft tourniquet, untuck the strap, unclip the windlass from the plastic triangle, and then twist it back the way that you had it. Next, lift the D-buckle and loosen the strap. Now, aside from writing the time of application on a tourniquet, when you apply it, conduct a neurological exam and expedite transport to hospital so the arterial bleed itself can be repaired and the tourniquet removed. Now, similar principles of application apply for the rapid stop tourniquet. Again, you have this D-shaped buckle here with which you can make a loop. There are going to be 2 straps in which you put your limb through, so your limb needs to be directly underneath the ratchet there. Don't get confused with putting your limb in between there. Next, you place the affected limb through those 2 straps and you pull. Again, the buckle must be medial to body for ease of self-application. Next, you simply operate this ratchet until the tourniquet is tight enough for arterial bleeding to cease. With excess strapping, once again, just wrap it around the limb and tuck it into itself. Don't forget to record the time of application and do a thorough neurological exam on the limb. To release this tourniquet, simply unravel the strap lift the ratchet up and slide it out. So guys, that's a brief overview of how to use the STOF Gen 4 and the Rapid Stop tourniquet. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a relatively new tourniquet to the Rapid Stop, and I honestly found it a little bit easier to apply. The strap is a bit wide, it's a bit more comfortable in the arm at tension. If you enjoyed this video, if you have any recommendations on what sort of videos you'd like to see in the future in terms of how to use equipment tutorials, pathophys, do let me know in a comment down below, and I'll see you next time.